Okay, once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session of our Toronto Seniors Housing, Corporate Governance, and Human Resources Committee meeting. It's November 6th today. The meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, and we have no deputations today, I believe. Is that correct? No deputations, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Want to start by acknowledging that November is Hindu Heritage Month and a very busy month with acknowledgements. Albanian Heritage Month and Lebanese Heritage Month. Also Movember, of course. This Saturday, November the 8th, is National Aboriginal Veterans Day. And of course, next week, November the 11th, is Remembrance Day. So we have a busy agenda. Well, that's what they wrote, but I don't think it's as busy as it says right here. It's a good agenda as always, and we're not going into closed session apparently. And with that, I'll go to the next agenda item, which is the land and African ancestral acknowledgements. So we acknowledge that the land that we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe and the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. The City of Toronto acknowledges all treaties people, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. So now we will proceed to item 3, approval of the public meeting agenda. Are there any amendments or any new business to be added to the agenda? If there are, please raise your hand and we'll acknowledge it. All right, there being none. May I have a member move that the November 6th public meeting agenda be approved?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Who said that?
It's Fareed.
Oh, Fareed. There you go. Okay, thank you, Fareed. And I need a seconder. And thank you, Brenda. So we have a all in favor. So it's approved. Be resolved that the November 6th public meeting agenda is approved as presented. Now we'll move to item 4, conflict of interest. If there's any conflict of interest on any items on this agenda, please, raise your hand and acknowledge the conflict. Okay, there being none, we'll move to item 5. All right, item 5. If there's any amendments to the public session minutes of September 17th, please state them. If not, then we will move to.
Everyone. Oh, councillors here, I see.
Oh, hi. Okay, so there being none, then if I could ask a member to move the public session minutes of September 17th.
Lawrence.
Brenda and Lawrence, thank you very much. So with all in favor, be it resolved that the September 17th public session minutes are approved as presented. And that takes us to item 6. If there are any amendments to the closed session of the minutes, no amendments. There being none, then I need a mover and a seconder for the closed session minutes. For the closed session,
Brenda. Lawrence.
Brenda and Lawrence. All right, thank you very much. Okay, now it takes us to, we're moving along. Item 7. Grant, I believe you want to take this on for action item.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody, and through the chair to the committee. There is one action item associated with something that a report is on today's agenda. So it's to bring a semi-annual report on incidences, trends on tenant management process, and the efficacy on the tenant human rights policy. So we have a report on today's agenda where we'll walk through some reporting on tenant human rights complaints.
Okay, that's it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll go to item 8. Tom, our CEO, will give us an update on, we'll give his update at this point.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you, Chair. And to the committee, I just have a few items for my update. Before I do that, you just will see there's a few staff on the call today. We'll be introducing them later as part of the work around the IDEA strategy and the IDEA committee. So I just wanted to let the committee members know that their staff who will be part of the agenda later. So thank you. And just wanting to mention about the long service award. So this is, that time of year where we take that some time to really appreciate the service, and particularly the long service of our employee, of our staff. And those the event is going to be on Thursday, November 20th at the North York Memorial Hall, kind of easily accessible to our staff. So we're kind of pleased about trying that location this year. And just if any of our board members are able to attend, we would be glad to have you there. It's just always really nice for us to kind of reinforce the values that we place on our long service employees and what they contribute to Toronto Seniors Housing and to our community. Also, with the IDEA committee co-chairs, those are the staff who are on the call, and we are going to be, as I said, introducing them later in the meeting, and they will be assisting kind of the update around the IDEA strategy, and then at that point you'll just get to meet the three of them. And then just also for today, we are later in the agenda. Matt Ginch, who's from our communications, he's going to provide a bit of a demo on our new on the intranet, and we're really, this was mentioned at a previous meeting, but we're just really kind of thrilled how it has been working for us. It is now becoming this really kind of hub of information for Toronto seniors, and our employees in the survey wanted to. They were requesting for kind of improved communication, improved recognition, and this is a tool that we're seeing that will really help us to achieve that for our for our staff. So thanks, and those are my comments for this afternoon.
Tom, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Any comments or questions for Tom? Brenda, I believe you have one.
Just the date again for the long service?
November 20th, through the chair to the board member.
And that's what time?
That's a good point. It's not in my notes.
I think it's 12
it
to
is
2?
from 12, yes, and it's in your calendar sent out to the board.
Right. And
the
okay,
chair.
that's great. And then I'll get the location later. Thank you.
Okay, and any other questions for Tom? Don't see any. Okay, and then we will then move over to item 9, people and culture. So I believe Carol, you have a presentation on that.
Yes, thank you through the chair. So the request is for the committee to receive the update for Q3. Karen, can you post? Thank you. So this is the Q3 dashboard for people and culture, recruitment and workforce stability. They are both really good. The training, we have majority of staff are completing and participating. We have positive reviews from our new hires. So from that perspective, there's a lot of stability. Health and safety, lost time remains low. Joint Health and Safety Committee has 3 meetings, which they have the previous 3 quarters, so monthly meetings. And compliance with mandatory training such as AODA, workplace violence is strong. And we are working on closing any opportunities open for the end of the year by December 31st. From a recruitment standpoint, we have Over the last quarter, we have had a substantially less interviews conducted, and that's because we had filled a substantial amount of our cleaner opportunities. So in the last quarter, it was 66. This quarter, we had 24 interviews, and we have 6 job postings. The average head count has remained consistent over the last 3 months. From a health and safety standpoint, which I mentioned earlier, we still have 3 in-person meetings during Q3, no ministerial labor visits, so that is great. From a turnover and retention, we are quite low. Our turnover rate decreased in this quarter, as well as our vacancy rate. So that is great news. From an absenteeism standpoint, there's a minor change, relatively minor change of $700 from the total hours paid, but the total unpaid hours has substantially decreased over the last quarter. Lost time claims, we'll see that we're down from 3 to 1 individual. And there's a change of about $2,000 to support that claim. With respect to training opportunities across the board, we are working on closing out some training. So outstanding dementia training, this is when employees are hired. So it's either a gap between the period from when they're hired to when we pull the report and they complete the training. But there's really only 6 individuals that need to complete the training. NCI, nonviolent confrontation training, is also in progress. That is in person. So I know we have 2 other sessions to close out this quarter. And the other trainings, such as AODA, staff participate in that training when they are newly hired. So we've gone through the training. Cybersecurity training, what I understand is we're at 86% completion rate. So that is actually really good. So there's a bit of a change to end Q3. And then the other trainings that you see here, training opportunities with respect to our policies. So for some of these key policies that we have, that we've updated and rolled out, what we did is we posted them on our learner management system so that staff can go in, review the policy. In some questions, there may be approximately 5 questions or so, and just to verify understanding of the policies. So we are working with our leaders to have all staff complete these policies by December 31st. So you'll see that there are various completion rates, but we are actively working on that completion. And then there are some operations trainings that have taken place. We had lunch and learns that took place as well. Those were voluntary over the lunch hour, so staff were able to log in and participate. And then the last part of this dashboard is the descriptions with respect to whether the training is compliant, staff development, tenant focus, but there's a brief description on the training that we've been offering. And so with that, I'll accept any questions that may be asked of me.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. I'm sure we might have a couple. Brenda, go ahead.
You mentioned a couple things. You mentioned the crisis prevention training.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what do you call it?
Nonviolent crisis
Nonviolence.
prevention.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't quite find it, so it's presumably somewhere on this chart.
Yes. So the completion rate is there on the chart, and the completion rate is 191. So this training is delivered by TSHC, and it is delivered every 2 years for staff.
Okay. Every 2 years. And is that outside trainers, or we have trained our trainer inside?
Train the trainer.
Okay. And is there a reason why it's only every 2 years instead of yearly? Because presumably there's turnover of staff and you do need to update yourself on the techniques and stuff. So is there any possible way that that could or should be more frequent?
I think it was reviewed, and from instead of 3 years, we looked at 2 years. So it's not an annual requirement for them to fulfill the training.
So what about all new staff? Do all new staff undergo?
All new staff have to participate in
Okay.
the training, yes.
Okay. And the last couple, cybersecurity training. We held off on that for board members. We were supposed to do something and then we put it on hold. Is that going to happen, for board members?
Yes. So
Okay.
2024 was completed by the majority of the board members, and
Right.
now 2025 is in process. So you will get instruction on completion for that
Okay.
training.
I haven't received it, so just to let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last one, and I think, Tom, you mentioned this, and I mentioned it, professional development training on how to become a supervisor, what happens when you become a manager. We talked about this in terms of linking it as well with the diversity policy, that giving people access to skill development of what happens when you're a frontline worker and then you become either a team leader or a supervisor. It's a very different skill set to manage people. And I wondered if we are following up on that suggestion or comment of developing something as part of diversity initiatives, but it's just generally good HR practice anyways, because it allows you to build a pool of people who are ready and understand the different role you play when you're a supervisor as distinct from frontline worker, et cetera, et cetera. So are we any more advanced on that conversation, on the development of that training?
So through the chair, if you don't mind, I can respond. So we do
Yeah,
have
go
our
ahead.
Leading with Impact training, and this time we have a cross section of staff. So we do have staff there who are support, and we do have staff that we have identified that should future opportunities become available, then they would be eligible to apply. So we have put them through the training to start to develop those skills, and they also have temporary assignments that they have been in leadership capacity. So we are working on that bench dimension.
Okay, and what's it called, Leading with
Impact.
And is that meant for supervisor, like lower level people? I mean, I'm talking about.
It's an
Some-
overall leadership. So you have, it's a people leadership based program.
And that covers the issue of what is it like psychologically to transition from being part of the team as an equal to then being a senior person? Does it just, because these are the things that fall, this is where things fall apart in terms of expansion of opportunities, particularly diversity. If people don't have access to development of that skill level at an entry level, then it means they're not considered for mid-level and above. So I don't know what's in your leader program. But I just wanted to know if it can address my concern. Tom, you mentioned something about this because you were finding there were difficulties, and when you do promote people, they may not. The fit is difficult, and then we want people to succeed and not be deemed to fail because they didn't have that entry level training. And the real psychological transition from being frontline with your buddies to then having to supervise your buddies is a big important step and a difficult one.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So through the chair to Brenda. So the I like what you are raising around that aspect of transition, and I think Carol was addressing that we do have staff kind of at levels of the organization, non-management staff, non-supervisory staff who have the opportunity to take this leadership course.
Yeah.
And that has kind of evolved, right? We've had 2 cohorts go through this now, and we have been working with an educator on this. So I think taking your comments as we look at, I can't address kind of specifically to what you're raising today, but I think it would be helpful if we take that and then talk to the individual who's leading these sessions and say, this is something that if it's not there, that we can integrate it into the training in this situation. So thanks.
So is it possible just to get an outline of what that training currently does
Sure.
include?
Yeah.
And
Brenda,
then-
we can see
okay,
the chart.
yeah.
Brenda, we can share that with you. Yes.
Because I've raised this a number of times and you did a follow-up comment at one of our meetings, Tom. So
Okay.
I'd just like to see, because I know my experience supervising large numbers of people and bringing people up through the ranks, that if you don't pay attention to that, then they end up, what's the old phrase, those that don't know what to do, teach, so you get people who then become a supervisor and they're ill-equipped, and then you have a failed experience.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right,
good
thank
point,
you.
Brenda.
All right,
That's it. Thank you then.
Thank you, Brenda and Tom. Any other questions? I have a quick one.
Mr. Chair, Jeff
Yeah.
Cahoon has his hand raised.
Sorry, who? I don't see it.
Jeff Cahoon?
Jesse.
Okay,
Jeff.
Jesse, go. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I have a question through the chair to the staff. I have a question regarding the dementia model. Is this related to or using the Alzheimer's Society? And is this part of a larger program to assist tenants to live in place?
So through the chair, I would have to go back and review the full content of the training to determine if it is in line with the Alzheimer's Society. And the intention would be to support our tenants. That's why we have this training, but I can do a deep dive and determine whether or not additional training is required or some changes to that course is there.
Okay, so the follow-up question to this through the chair is, are there additional training modules for other disabilities apart from just dementia? There are things like wheelchair access, height of signage, things of that nature that may have to be addressed.
Thank you. So through the chair, so Jesse, for those trainings, they may be covered in some of our other trainings across the board. Much of the training that we have, so this training we assign, but there are other trainings that are available for staff in our learner management system. So we can assign them, but they also have the opportunity to take these courses. So right now, the one that we've assigned is related to dementia. We also had a pilot on mental health first aid for seniors. And so we are exploring additional training for staff that help them to support tenants. We also had delivered the aging and community training, and there were different sections within those trainings as well to support different dimensions of aging in place. So, we can further explore as we're looking to plan training for 2026 with respect to some of these other trainings that you're raising.
Okay, Jesse, is that good?
Great, thank you. I'm muted. Yes, thank you very much, Carol.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you very much. Carol, just a quick question. I believe you mentioned in the outset that there are 6 job postings. I didn't see the breakdown. Just can you quickly run down what these 6 postings include?
Through the chair, I'd have to get that from our recruiter, so I can provide an update subsequent to the meeting as to what they were. They may have been closed by now as they were from Q3. So
Sure, no problem.
I'll get that information.
If you could undertake to do that, that's great. Thank you. So let's then move on now to.
Sorry.
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Did I miss?
Yeah.
Friedemann has his hand up.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick questions, Carol.
Yes.
The health on the health and safety information. Do we keep track of health and safety incidents involving contractors?
Through the chair, it would be my understanding that we do.
Okay. Yeah, I'd just be
Yes.
curious. I mean, I know we don't have much control over that, but be interested to see what the stats is on that, if there's any reporting information on it. And a couple of very quick questions. You mentioned a number of termination. Is that end of contract or retirement, or are they actually termination, if you know what I mean?
I don't have with me through the chair, I don't have with me the actual termination report.
Okay.
But I would have to get that for you,
Right.
just to be
And if
accurate. I don't want to guess.
Yeah,
So-
no issue. That's fine. You can. And the final one is that a failure to report seems to be a bit high. Are we sort of kind of doing some deep dive or some disaggregation of that to better understand the failure to report rate of absenteeism?
Through the chair, so our business partners and our people leader manager are working with our people leaders to better understand, and then we'll work on the plan to support them in addressing it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we had another, did you have another question there, Brenda, or are you good?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. All right, so now I believe we're good to move to item 10, Tenant Human Rights and Complaints Report. And Grant, I think that goes to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crisanti. So through the chair and to the committee, I'll just provide a brief summary of the report that is before the committee for information today. So in October of 2024, we brought forward the Tenant Human Rights policy, which was approved at the board, so about a year ago. And the intent of that policy was to provide a viable mechanism for tenants to make human rights complaints and ensure that TSHC premises are free from harassment and discrimination. That's some language from the policy. Subsequent to that, a procedure which is attached to this report was developed and worked through in July of this year with a number of different stakeholders to help guide us in the development of this procedure associated with tenant human rights complaints, how they would be made and how they'd be handled. So the process. This was developed in consultation with the Ombudsman's Office, the City of Toronto Human Rights Office, the Center for Advancing the Interests of Black People, which is a service we get through Toronto Community Housing as part of our shared service arrangement, the Responsible Personal Accessibility in Toronto Housing Committee, or more commonly known as RPATH Committee. And this was based on the Ontario Human Rights Code guidelines. So the document that we attached had a lot of opportunity for input and guidance as to how it is structured and some of the way we've articulated the process within it. Wanted to also advise that with regards to training associated with this, we have started some of the training on human rights as well. And this is on the code, the policy, and the procedure. So the leadership team at TSHC has been trained. Frontline staff and specifically the senior services coordinator. So those are the staff in operations that work in the buildings and support the tenants in their homes, in the buildings. They're going to be getting some training upcoming, and then there'll be more general training on human rights for the broad TSHC staff in 2026. With regards to reporting on complaints, part of the follow-up from the policy was develop and bring forward a reporting framework for this. So we have included the reporting framework as attachment 2, and it lists the type of information that we will be reporting associated with tenant human rights complaints, and a number of different data points that will be included, the type of complaint based on the social areas, the respondents of who or where the complaint is directed, what grounds, and different aspects associated with the complaint. And then we also included in attachment 3, a report on complaints to date. So in 2025, so far to date, there are no tenant human rights complaints that have been received directly by TSHC so far. However, there are 6 complaints that have been filed at the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal with Toronto Seniors Housing. And that's in attachment 3. And there is a summary of those complaints there. 5 of those complaints are currently in a status of ongoing, and 1 has been dismissed. There's the report there. Thank you, Karen. And you can see that there isn't necessarily a one-to-one ratio with regards to the type of respondent, the type of complaint, or the protected ground, because some complaints will have multiple aspects to those. And our goal going forward is to do some additional communication for tenants on the process associated with tenant human rights complaints. So we'll be putting some information into an upcoming Senior Speak, so the tenant newsletter, as well as updating information on our website as a reference. And as I already mentioned, training for our senior services coordinators so they can support tenants when they have questions about this and in the buildings. And I'll pause there and take any questions. Oh, I'll just also mention my apologies. I should have mentioned this up front, that Ayushman Banerjee, our business consultant in the strategy and business management team, who's also been supporting this, is on the call with us today and can also assist with questions. I think you're on mute, Councillor Crisanti.
You are right. I was saying thank you so much, Grant, for that report. And Brenda, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was, you did this in consultation with the various bodies. I was struck by that. It's almost like a parallel system. We have an internal human rights complaint process before we attempt to resolve. Is this like an early resolution process before they feel the need to go further to the Ontario Human Rights Office, as distinct from our own internal? So I'm just trying to get a handle on as to the thinking behind this. Is this the industry norm that you try and develop some in-house capacity to deal with these issues before the tenant then, if it doesn't get resolved here, the tenant can elect to go outside with the established tribunal?
Yes, so through the chair and to the committee, a tenant always has an option to go directly to the tribunal.
Right.
So there is no requirement for them to go through a process internally with Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation.
Right.
However, in spirit of the tenant human rights policy and to provide an opportunity for us to consider opportunities to resolve complaints, this is what this process would support. However, there are and always will be a path, if the tenant so chooses, to take a complaint to the tribunal, similar to the 6 complaints that are currently noted in this report.
Yes. So the 6 complaints that are noted in your report have not gone through this internal procedure. They predate the development of this policy framework.
Yes, and to be
right.
through the chair and to the committee, to be clear, this procedure is still being implemented. So
yes,
you know, a complaint in this path hasn't yet actually been
worked its
processed,
way
you might
through.
say.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And but ultimately, we do expect to use this as an opportunity to address them.
And is there any concern about confidentiality, that people may feel more comfortable dealing with outside independent actors as distinct from people internal to the organization, the very organization you're complaining against, right? So, I mean, I don't know what, you mentioned you're getting consultation from the City of Toronto Human Rights Office. I don't know what the general policy is for staff of Metropolitan Toronto, right? But I'm just wondering, has it been raised, or is it not an issue, or is there any possibility people will feel like they don't feel safe enough to do an internal complaint process? Is there any risk of that? I don't know what the thinking is in the organizations that you've been consulting with.
So through the chair and to the committee, there are some aspects of our procedure that include components to help manage this issue you're bringing forward from the procedural perspective. So, for example, there are statements in there that there can be no reprisals associated with making a complaint. That confidentiality will be kept in check with regards to any tenants bringing forward a complaint. However, we will endeavor to support tenants in the process associated with using this, meaning that if they'll have a path to work with TSHC on these complaints, and we'll do we'll work closely with them to kind of be aware and thoughtful to the concerns you're raising, but at the same time, we cannot guarantee that a tenant would be necessarily comfortable and may choose a path outside of this, which is their option as well. I think as we go through using this, we'll get feedback on the process as well, and have an opportunity to understand if tenants are choosing to to use it or potentially not use it.
Yes, okay. I'm not saying that it will negatively be impacted, but it's just that it occurred to me myself, I would be a little reluctant to go internal with people who are basically complaining about, right? So you're going to your supervisor or your manager, and depending where the source of your complaint is, whether it's other staff, whether it's contractors, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was just reflecting on that. And the other advantage of doing something internal is at least it determines if it is a human rights complaint, because oftentimes it is not. It doesn't meet the grounds, one of the designated grounds. And often it still might remain a complaint against the organization or people within it, but not necessarily a human rights complaint, because that's a very restrictive definition. And a lot of people don't understand that distinction.
All right, thank you, Grant, Brenda, and Jesse, you got your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Jess, to the chair and the board, reading this document, I'm a little confused. I know I'm new to the board, but there seem to be a number of actors involved with helping or supporting or arbitrating. And I'm wondering if there is a way to streamline the process in terms of either escalation or management of the process. The regional, I'm looking at the document, and there's a staff supervisor management, there's regional operations manager, and anti-Black racism can be supporting. So is there a way to make this sort of a more coherent process?
So through the chair and to the committee. So we will definitely be interested in opportunities to have a process that is effective and streamlined. And part of the reason for the different paths or different roles associated will have somewhat to do with the nature of the complaint. So if the complaint is about staff, then it will have a lead through our people and culture division to support that. If the complaint is more of a tenant to tenant kind of matter, it'll be through the regional operations team as a tenancy, in support of tenancy management. If it's about a policy, more sort of overarching, it'll be something that'll be dealt with through the strategy and policy realm, for example. And so due to the nature of the type of complaint, different roles will potentially get involved. But Jess, the intent is to have a process that is effective and can be responsive to the complaint in a combination of a thorough matter and also a timely manner.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Jesse and Grant. Anything else? Okay,
You see some hands count. Yeah.
More hands?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. I'm going to be very quick. I mean, I think Just point is well taken, and I think we may want to look at sort of separating an internal from an external process. And I also want to, I was going to raise a point that Brenda raised as well, which is the independence and the impartiality or the perceived impartiality of the process. Because also, if you've got a complaint, and again, I think we went through this the last time this policy came before the board. If the complaint, for example, is against HR, I looked at the chart that you prepared, and I see, for example, if the complaint is about the director, then we'll go to the manager in the case of operations. And I wonder because the manager reports to the director.
Exactly.
So the complaint is about, so I think we need to think carefully about how we sort of manage or demonstrate a process that is impartial and independent and objective. I'm not saying it isn't. And maybe there's something to be said about us working with TSHC in this regard, if not the city, to try and make that process a bit more quote unquote objective and have that perceived impartiality in it.
Yeah, yeah, and the perception. Yeah, that's a very good point. Can I also add, Mr. Chair,
Brenda, sure. Go ahead.
also linked to getting back to the training modules, and Carol, you comment on this, is it's important to train the staff in knowing how to deal with conflict and complaints. Lots of times our tenants fight with each other, have disputes, and this is where your conflict resolution skills, but it's also what I call cross-cultural conflict resolution skills. And I highly suggest that this be something looked at, because often you can resolve the problem at that front line level. But it does take a skill set to know how to manage people who are warring with each other. Some of that might veer into racial complaints. We've had that happen in the past. And I just think it's often conflict is something people are not comfortable with at the best of times. Throw in a racial or discriminatory type of conflict, and it's even more difficult. So if I could add as well to suggestions for development of training for staff at all levels and how to handle cross-cultural conflict. And given the diversity of our staff population, you are going to get it by definition. People from different regions that have been at war with each other and often bring some of the tensions and feelings into the workplace, whether conscious or unconscious. It does happen. I've had to deal with that many times in my supervisory management role, and it is a skill.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. All right, so now unless there's another comment from anyone, we can move to item 11, people and culture policies. And I believe, Carol, that's once again, you're taking that on with Dave.
Thank you, Councillor Prasanti, through the chair and to the committee. So Dave Slater is actually going to be presenting on these two policies for approval. Dave, over to you.
Thank you, Carol. And
welcome back, Dave.
Thank you. And through the chair to the committee, good to see everyone. This report relates to the annual review, of our annual employee code of conduct and employee conflict of interest policies. Under the criteria established by the Toronto Seniors Housing Policy Framework that was approved and implemented last year, a number of policies, including the employee code of conduct and the employee conflict of interest policies, require board directors' approval. And as you may recall, both these policies underwent a substantial review in 2024 and received significant changes as well. And the policies were presented to CGHRC, this committee, in June of 2024, and subsequently approved by our board of directors in October of 2024. At that time, an annual review cycle was established for both policies. So the annual review was conducted in October of 2025, last month. And we also used our newly created diversity lens to review the policies. And as a result, only minor edits were required for this year. And also part of the review, we identified that the initial review cycle was 1 year. And so we're recommending that the review cycle be changed to 3 years to better align with the overarching policy framework. And the reason is that an annual cycle is typically assigned to policies where there's the requirement to comply with a legislative requirement for annual board review and approval. Of course, if there were any changes to the policy or deemed necessary during the intervening period between reviews, and we will look at it on an annual basis for sure, the reviews, the changes would be made and brought forward to this committee and the board during the intervening period. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Dave, for that update. And so we have two recommendations here for the employee code of conduct, employee conflict of interest policy that we need to vote on. But before I do, any questions for Dave? It's likely a good idea. Yeah, Brenda, thank you.
I'm just still not clear on the 1 year versus 3 year review. So generally speaking, policies will be reviewed in a 3-year cycle. But what's the 1 year that you're referring to? Things that come up in between episodically, or what do you mean by 1 year?
Well, there are certain there's certain policies that require an annual review and approval by the board.
Okay.
And so those typically would come to the board every year. There's no legislative requirement for conflict of interest or code of conduct. It's based on our
good practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Brenda,
you.
thank you. And Jesse.
I'm going to correct you. My name is actually pronounced Jess.
Jess,
so,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My apologies.
There's a typo because it's
no,
typed
it's not
in
a typo. It's how it's spelled, but it's pronounced.
Oh,
Jess.
okay. Okay, now we know.
I've been doing it for about 40 years, and it does get a bit annoying. So, I don't know if this is the appropriate place to address it in terms of who is employed, but I was interested to find out how many people over the age of 55 are employed by TSHC, how many students are in academic placement, where are they placed, and how are they engaged with residents. This seems to be an opportunity for an intergenerational support model for the future, and I would certainly encourage that.
So through the chair and to the board, Jess, I did see that you had drafted an email that housed some of these questions. And so I'm looking into what information I can provide to you, and then we can have further discussions there.
Thank you.
So I don't have that information on hand right now.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was appropriate for this particular section to bring that to the board's attention.
Okay, Jess, thank you. And all right, so then I'll need a mover for both the code of conduct and the conflict of interest. Are we doing them separately or together? Looks like we're doing them together. Okay, that our committee approve and recommend that the board of directors approve the employee conduct and employee conflict of interest. Moved by Brenda, seconded by Jess. Okay. All right, and all right, so then yeah, be it resolved that the employee code of conduct and employee conflict of interest policy is approved as presented. We will now proceed to item 12, the demo of the TSHC intranet. Okay, and who's taking that on, Deanna?
Yes.
Okay.
Deanna will be introducing. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello,
Deanna.
can you hear me?
Yes, Deanna, we
I have
could.
a little bit of a delay. Good, you can hear me. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So through the chair, I'm happy to have an opportunity today at the committee to share with you the intranet system. So my comments will be very brief, just to introduce some of my wonderful colleagues who have been, I will use the word, in the trenches doing the hard work to pull this system together. The only remarks I will make are, this I would consider a transformational move from a employee engagement perspective. I hope none of our committee members had to navigate the old in-house. It was pretty antiquated. It was pretty useless. As a newer employee, it wasn't very helpful to me. So I'm very excited for the work that's been done by the communications team that I lead, but also by the entire organization to pull together our new kind of best practice leading intranet. So I am going to pass it to two colleagues here. Matthew is going to take the lead on the presentation, but we also have Christy Chang on the line, and I want to give her a shout out. She started as a student and has stayed on with us because of this project, and she has done amazing work in the time that she's been with us under Matt's leadership and the work of the communications team. So go team, kudos to them. And I'm going to hand it over to Matt with Christy's support to take you through the system with a real lens on the employee experience, what they're going to feel, what they're going to see that's new and exciting. So Matt, can I hand that over to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Deanna. Yeah, and through the chair and to the board, I'd just like to thank everyone for their time. We're going to do a quick walkthrough, obviously open to any questions. Just give us 2 seconds and we will get this started. Hopefully everyone can see the screen share okay.
I can see it, Matt.
Fantastic.
I don't hear any
Thanks,
objections.
Yeah, so just getting into it, what you're seeing right now
Can you
is
make it a little bigger?
I can try, absolutely, Brenda. Give me 2 seconds. Let's see. How does that look? Better?
Keep on going. Yeah, that's fine. That's better. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Glad that works for you. So what everyone's seeing right now is our dashboard for the new in-house. This is functional. This is available to all staff. And as Deanna started by saying, this is a brand new tool for us coming from a bit of an antiquated system that wasn't functional. We're really excited to have staff kind of opening their laptops to jump onto this platform every day to interact with their jobs, to see stories, to have an easy way to kind of get access to files and support with just a few clicks. The whole goal of this platform was to streamline the workflow, so you're only ever a few clicks away from what you needed to get. Some of the board may be aware of the way we've done things in the past in terms of sending out a monthly bulletin. That has been replaced with a news section that generates a weekly digest, which ensures that stories are always floating to the top of staff's inboxes. Every week, you get a brand new digest with the top stories. And every day you can hop into in-house and kind of take a look at what is new and what's noteworthy, and those stories populate automatically in the news section. So you have access to some basic search at the top. It's going to kind of introduce you with your name, and right below that we have our news section. So this is a live version we're looking at right now, so we'll kind of just walk through this quickly together. So you get your top 8 stories here, which is great. There's a button below that to kind of explore all previous posts. On the left-hand side, you can also open the menu and click on the post button, which will bring you to a much more comprehensive and searchable database of all of the stories that have been posted on the platform from the beginning. So you can see there's some opportunities here to interact with the content that you're reading. You can add reactions and comments. We can see real-time stats in terms of how many views we're getting on new posts. And as you can see, we're as recently as 2 hours ago, new posts are coming in. So staff don't have to wait anymore to get the important information. It's always available on in-house for them. So easily clicking the logo, our word mark in the top left corner, you come back to the dashboard. So we've put a lot of effort into ensuring this is functional. So top resources are the second thing most staff will see. Things like company website, policy libraries, careers, posters, some of the things that frontline staff and all staff alike kind of experience on a daily basis. We're just ensuring that you're just 1 or 2 clicks away. We engaged with staff in multiple different ways just to ensure that we were doing this right the first time. And so a lot of staff input has kind of been collected and gathered to ensure that this is, by staff for staff, and things like careers, just ensuring that things like that staff are really wanted to see is there and easily available. So let's scroll down a little bit here as we just kind of get into the middle section. We have went through the process of working with different departments to ensure that each department has their own bespoke landing page. This will be an opportunity for the SharePoint integrations to exist. Another massive, obviously, project that's been happening here is getting SharePoint functional for all departments. So groups like operations, engagement, partnerships, and communications, those SharePoints that are filled with important documents, they are just a couple clicks away. So we'll just step into operations as a quick example. So if you were to click in, you'll see the in-house platform has a different landing page for each department. So we're in the operations page. We're getting some basic information at the top, some team information below, as well as key contacts on the right-hand side. But at the top right, we have some quick links, and this is are just once again just 2 clicks away from entering the operations SharePoint. It's that simple. So we're just trying to keep everything there and available. So let's go back to the homepage again and look at some of the exciting stuff that we built into this platform to make it fun for staff. So we've implemented a speaker's corner, which is a really easy way to ensure that staff can share tips, ideas, etc. This is something that we've seen already some great uptake on, where staff are able to kind of just immediately shout out a colleague or generate some kind of interesting conversations which populate immediately below in the comments box. So we can see this morning, for example, Tom talking about our United Way breakfasts. It's an interesting way, kind of that social kind of connection point here where we can see staff communicating in real time with their colleagues. And we think that's a really exciting way to make this more fun and engaging in a kind of day-to-day way. We have videos hosted here, so Tom can ensure that he is getting out in front of news stories and just making sure we're connecting with staff in that way. We have staff profiles, which were kind of a hallmark of our bulletin in the past, and we've ensured that those are still here. The exciting thing is, whereas in the past we were doing one bulletin or one profile for each bulletin, now we're still kind of following a similar frequency of how often we're updating the staff profiles, but they're all available here. And as you can see in real time, we're kind of scrolling through, seeing some familiar faces, and you're able to kind of click in, read the stories, see the portraits, and just kind of interact in that way, which is really exciting. The platform is very dynamic and constantly improving, and the widgets are something that are kind of perhaps going to see some adjustments over the coming months and years. But things like weather, things like the social feed that are visible right here in the middle column, we're just ensuring that there's a lot of different ways that staff can get information. It's all kind of collected here just to be as available as possible. So we'll scroll down a little bit and we'll just walk through a few more things here. So we also have a section for TSHC news stories that have popped up in the media. Once again, a quick way to just make sure that everything is floating to the top. Everybody's going to have kind of a different way they want to interact with this platform, and they'll get kind of comfortable with where their kind of favorite widgets are located. And just with a quick scroll, you're engaging with content that's important to you. So media clippings, all of that's going to appear here in real time as they become available. We also have an ability, which is brand new to this platform, to share photos. So we know that staff, especially frontline staff, are getting lots of fun photos of events and different kind of activities in the community, and they're not able to get them off their phones easily. So we have built this in to be as simple as possible, that if you have a great photo from an event, we encourage you to come on here and upload them and ensure that they kind of generate immediately in that photo library below. This allows the communications team to also pull down some of those photos in high quality and use those for different materials and different kind of things that we do behind the scenes here to get those photos in front of everybody. There's a section for learning and development. And then at the bottom, there's a calendar. So you're going to see immediately the calendar is already populated. We are working on improving this calendar. This is just, once again, a high level way to see what's going on. You can hammer down into the day, the week, the month, we'll see that CGHRC committee meeting is available right there. We see it's National Senior Safety Week. We can go into the week and just have a quick glance, or we can just have that high level view. So once again, just more exciting ways that we're really trying to make this information available to staff in a new way. This is fresh, this is fun. It's not clunky for us to work on either, so we're really enjoying the process. Christy, who is on the call, is really the architect of all of the creativity behind the scenes here that you're seeing, all of the color, all of the look and feel. She has been an absolute maestro of putting this all together. So there's also quick links available at the bottom. And as Brenda saw, it's pretty easy to kind of resize for your browser. So this works on a multitude of devices. Eventually, we're just kind of going through the process of getting the devices ready for it and approved is an app. And there will be an app on all of the staff's devices that allows them to get into this and interact with it in a slightly different way. We think that's it's such an important thing. We all know how we're on the go nowadays, and everyone has their phone close by. The experience will be mirrored in a complete way. Access to all of the news stories, access to all of the policy libraries, access to the different SharePoints that will exist on the different teams. It's the goal here is just to reduce and remove as much friction as possible. So I think that kind of gives you a bit of a high level. I know we're a little short on time here, and there's so much we could talk about, but I just kind of wanted to hop on here and walk everyone through from that high level perspective what this all looks like. So maybe we'll leave it there for now. And yeah, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Matt. Through the chair to the committee, open to any questions if folks have them. I wish this was a tool for you as board members as well, but this is a staff tool, and just know that we're having fun with it. We are having fun being able to use it and build it out for the organization. So unless there are any questions, we can continue to move forward, but I'll pause in case there are.
The only, I think this question is obvious. I'm hoping that it is AOD compliant. I didn't hear anything in that regard, and I see a lot of things being talked about that persons with disabilities may not be able to access. So I just wondering where we are with that.
Yeah, through the chair, Matt, do you have any insight on that? I know that was a big one. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
And how has that been built into the system? And also the whole cybersecurity piece, right? Because if people are downloading information and downloading photographs and that sort of stuff, how are we catering for that as well?
Thanks. Through the chair, Matt, do you want to speak to any or all of those items first? I know you're deep with working with the app provider, who's quite great.
Yeah, thanks, Deanna. Yeah, so the functionality, I understand your concern. We are this is like a very modern internet platform, and accessibility is something that has come up multiple times. And I can probably provide some further detail on this a little further down the line, just so you can understand like some high level bullets of approximately of how this really is compliant with modern standards. But that off the top of my head, I just don't want to contradict myself here. But yeah.
And I add, Matt, through the chair on the cybersecurity, something similar. Fareed, best in class app that went through the procurement process alongside TSHC, who also has launched this app in their space. And I know their IT team was deeply involved in the procurement and in working with the vendor. But we can certainly get more details on the cybersecurity considerations if that's helpful. I don't want to misspeak either on that piece, so we can take that offline as well.
Okay. All right, Dan. So we had a couple of hands come up quickly, and I don't know,
Sure.
but let me start from my left to right. Jess, you go first, and then we'll go to Brenda and
Chair
Brenda,
of the board.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm interested to know how some of these elements might fold into senior speak and be available to tenants.
Yeah, through the chair, Jess, great point, great question. The beauty is, that work is led by the same team, the wonderful communication shop that we had. The thing to know is there's already connections, as Senior Speak is published we post that internally, so the information is flowing that way. But I hear your point, something for us to take possibly on how we can feed some of our organizational stories to tenants in a way that makes sense through Senior Speak. So I appreciate that, and I think that's a great nugget for the team to consider in additionally.
Okay. Jess, is that good? All right, thank you. Brenda?
Thank you, yes.
Mine was the question about, I think you answered it, that the board doesn't get access to this.
No, through the chair,
only.
Brenda, this is yes, it's a staff facing.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Is there a comparable thing? I don't know, that a common site that the board members should be developing? Where
So through the chair, I will pass back to Grant, but I've heard things about a board portal before.
That's
I don't
what
know.
I'm wondering.
If you want to speak to that more or not, I will pass to you.
That's through the chair to the committee. So there will be a board portal for our board, and that's something we're working towards. It will have access to information, but more in the processes associated with the board's meetings, materials.
Sure.
It's not going to be sort of the kind of design that you're seeing in the intranet, but there will be a consolidated place for board materials and information. And that actually is something we're working on and looking to have some more information out before the end of the year is our goal. And to talk about also at the board governance workshop in the middle of January the 14th as well.
And if it could include something like some of those staff profiles, or, you know, it personalizes the work that we do, knowing the people or the programs. You know, I don't want to crib from the good work you're doing on this one, but it just seemed to me on a board portal, we can add additional human interest stories, staff profiles, give us a real flavor for the organization that we're seeking to represent.
We'll take that back and see what might be possible. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Lawrence?
Yeah, was this developed in-house?
So through the chair, it was provided by a third party. The app is called Mango Apps. So that was procured into the organization, and then a project team made up of TCHC staff and then TSHC staff built all the requirements for our needs. And as Matt spoke to, it's quite a user-friendly system. So though Mango Apps is part of developing the initial version we all see, we have quite a bit of functionality as a user, from my understanding, to move things around, take things away, make things appear. So a bit of both, if that makes sense, Lawrence, through the chair.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Great work.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Lawrence. And all right, so then don't think we need any great presentation. Thank you. And this will be a tremendous tool, of course, for all employees. So all staff. I believe the last item now is the inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility strategy. And I'm going to pass that on to Carol once again.
Thank you, through the chair and to the committee. So I'm excited because we have, as Tom had said at the outset, we have 3 members of our IDEA committee. So recently we reached out to all staff and we did get new committee members. And from there, we selected three chairs who volunteered to be our co-chairs. And so I'm happy to have with us, we have Umber Siddiqui, we have Simona Holler, and Rebecca Ihilchik. And so I've asked them to join us today so they can introduce themselves to you, tell you a bit about why they are interested in the IDEA committee and IDEA overall, and their roles and how long they've been with TSHC. So I'll start with Rebecca because she's right in front of me on my screen. So Rebecca, do you want to start?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Carol. Through the chair, it's great to meet you all. My name is Rebecca Hilchik, and I joined Toronto Seniors Housing as a senior communications consultant just this past summer, so pretty new. I've been working in strategic communications for the past decade, largely in healthcare, including 5 years at Baycrest, which is, of course, a major partner of ours. At Baycrest, I had the opportunity to co-found a staff-led idea committee, much like this one. And my own interest in IDEA has been largely influenced by my own personal lived experience, as well as my academic background in religious studies. My own major goals for the IDEA committee, and you'll hear about Simona's and Umber's in a moment, are to really establish the internal structures and procedures that will more feasibly allow us to effectively execute on our big ideas. I will also be leading communications and acting as the liaison between the IDEA committee and the communications team. I am looking forward to collaborating with the rest of my colleagues as we rev up for hopefully a very impactful 2026. And thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. And so, Umber, I'll go to you next.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Umber. I'm one of the co-leads for this IDEA committee. So our goal is to provide a safe and inclusive environment for everyone to improve employee morale and productivity. Inclusion is something that can always be improved upon. Therefore, as a co-lead, I aim to bridge this gap of inclusion by creating and hosting more interactive events for employees to participate in. As a former member of the Joint Health and Safety Committee, I played a pivotal role in creating a safe space for my colleagues to express their concerns and establish ways to resolve them. Accomplishing this ensured positive outcomes such as employee satisfaction through their concerns being addressed and issues being resolved. Now that I'm in a more influential position, enabling myself to create impactful positive changes, I aim to increase intersectionality among TSHC's workforce to create a more harmonious work environment where the culture, values, and morals in our diverse workforce are respected and accepted. It was a pleasure meeting everyone today, and I'm just excited to show you not only what I am, but what our entire team is capable of achieving. Thank you.
Thank you. And over to Simona.
Thanks, Carol. I'm Simona Haller. I've been with TSHC for about 2 years now as an acting tenant services administrator, and I've seen how quickly our organization has grown and how much potential we have to shape our culture very intentionally as a young company. I participated in IDEA early on by leading the Pride Month education and within our staff town halls, and have collaborated with the Toronto Community Housing's Pride Committee, and I want to continue my work with that specifically. And for me, DI work is more than just policies or checklists, but it's about creating spaces and setting the status quo of what we truly believe in as a company. And I want everyone to feel safe to bring their full selves to the table, whether that's in team meetings or tenant interactions or day-to-day collaborations. I'm just very passionate about building a culture where inclusion is felt in our small everyday moments. And on a higher level, within the next 2 years of us three being co-leads, we want to set the groundwork first in our first year and establishing our calendar and our cadence and our schedule for the next year, where we can decide to build upon our routine in the first year. The idea is very new, and we're still discovering ways that we could provide for our staff.
Thank you. So thank you again, Rebecca, Umber, and Simona. Any questions for any members of our IDEA committee?
Jess and Brenda. Jess, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering how this committee will interact with tenants.
So through the chair and to the committee, the IDEA committee that the team will be co-leading, and I'll be working with, primarily are for staff, to support our staff. And so through that, if there are opportunities, depending on what engagement opportunities or communication, we would share that with tenants. But the primary focus of this committee is to work with our staff. And I see Tom has his hand up to respond as well. You're on mute, Tom.
Okay, just that surprised me. Just through the chair to the committee, just adding on what Carol was saying. So when we look at the idea that the strategy, our framework, there is the focus is the staff, but we do, even as we were developing that strategy framework, the discussion was about, okay, how do we take this to the tenants? So just, your question is really timely, and I think even if we put this on for like the staff, the senior tenant advisory committee meeting, to talk about how this work that we kind of have initiated at the staff level can help to kind of transcend or support with the tenants. It's definitely a growth area. So thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Brenda, go ahead.
Will you be walking through this, or are we just accepting the report as is? The reason I'm asking is just to get a little clarity about the phases and the time frame. And I'm trying to, it's quite wordy. I'm trying to figure out what are the outcome measures that you're looking at here, other than just communication and, I'm just a little lost. So I don't know whether it's just me or whether there's an opportunity for walking us through. For example, I see no word in reference to race. And part of the problem is often race often gets put to the bottom and other isms get put to the top. So I'm just I don't know if you can have some opportunity to explain some of the time frame and the outcome measures. What are we looking to measure here? Are we looking to measure impact on hiring, a measure on culture of the organization, a measure on all levels of the organization having a diversity lens, and what does that mean practically speaking? And how are we going to measure whether we've succeeded? Other than various meetings or what are our measures here? So as I say, I don't know whether this is the right time or place, but will you be walking us through some of this stuff or not?
So through the chair and to the committee, the intention was first to introduce our new co-chairs and then to go through the update. So this update from the IDEA perspective is really based on what was approved in terms of the overall IDEA strategy, which included the terms of reference for the IDEA committee and the diversity lens. So if there are no other questions for our co-chairs, then I would ask Karen if you can post the presentation for me.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I believe Mr. Amin had his hand up, so I'm not sure if that was the time.
Sorry.
For now.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I'm good. Thanks. In the interest of time, I'll forego that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So, all right. So, sorry, Carol. What were you? Oh, okay, that's right. There we go. Thank you.
Go.
Awesome.
And so I'll go through it, and then Brenda, I can respond to some of the questions that you have, and I won't spend too much time on the slides, but essentially the IDEA strategy is comprised of 3 phases. So one were the immediate actions that went into 2026. So foundation building and diversity lens integration, and we are still working on that. Some of the things that we have done with respect to our IDEA committee is actually selecting new members, our IDEA committee co-chairs, co-leads. We've started training and resources for staff and development of the IDEA structure. In terms of phase 2, expanding and deepening, which will take us through 2026 and 2027, enhancement, engagement, and diversity lens application. So looking at more integration of the diversity lens. And right now we have a high level application. So as Dave was talking about the policy review, as well as under our policy review, our policy management framework, we are utilizing the diversity lens. We will create a more formalized process. Continuing with our employee engagement survey, some of the demographic results review, some of that review in terms of race that was self-identified and position. So in terms of our recruitment process, promotion process, and that will also help us identify what training is required. Policy review application, which I mentioned, really is incorporating the diversity lens. There are some specific ones, with respect to things like workplace violence, and recruitment and things of that nature. And then budget considerations, including staffing. So we are looking to try to secure an IDEA policy and programs advisor that will lead much of this work. Karen, next slide, please.
As a full-time staff person or as a
As a
consultant?
full-time staff person. And that was indicated as well when the strategy was approved earlier this year. I believe in March, yeah.
And did we get approval for that, hiring of that position?
So we are working through that process.
Okay.
Yeah. And then phase 3, embedding and sustaining, so 2027, 2028. So a little bit further out, integration, accountability, and continuous diversity lens review. And this is where a lot of this work, fully integrating IDEA into all aspects of our operations, ensuring long-term sustainability and continuously evaluating the effectiveness of the diversity lens. And so this will be a primary area where we're hoping that an IDEA policy and programs advisor can update the strategy, and then we look at the next iteration of the strategy. Next slide. So I won't spend as much time on this. I mean, I know you have the report, but there are 4 pillars that occur in each one of our phases. So embrace and cultivate workplace diversity. We have pillar 2, embed education and training. We have foster an engaging culture and environment for all, and serve TSHC's diverse communities. And so next slide. And so when we look at, here are some of the other things that have happened. So as I said, the recruitment process, utilization of diverse job posting portals, initial review of related policies, diversity lens for policy review, current alignment with human rights legislation, review of staff demographics to address underrepresentation, and then our IDEA committee, which we have staff volunteers are selected, and our co-chairs. In phase 2, mentorship program under consideration and will be reviewed in 2026. Identify IDEA-related training for all staff joining TSHC. That was one of the things that we have looked at and will be looking at implementing in 2026. Working with the communication team on any IDEA-related communication, which you heard Rebecca mention that she has been appointed from the communications team to work on IDEA communications, guideline, and IDEA space on in-house. And so we've posted much of the work we have been doing on in-house, which you just saw at a very high level. And then looking at alignment with policy management framework, as I mentioned, and continuing our job description reviews.
So will you be reporting back to the board on a regular basis with your actual outcomes of these things? I mean, for example, you talk about reviewing job description or how we post jobs. I mean, how will I know you've done it, and what is it you're recommending? So will you be reporting specific answers back to the board or a committee, or I'm just not certain what the reporting would.
So through the chair, the expectation that was outlined is to report back to the committee twice a year. So this is the first update, and then we'll have another update. But given when the strategy was approved, this is our first update on the strategy.
Okay.
Okay. I see that Jess has his hand up, so I don't know if I want to take that question so I can try to respond in
Yeah, go ahead.
In between.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you to the chair of the board. I've done a review of the entire presentation, and nowhere do I find the word ageism in the presentation. I believe this is a valuable consideration that needs to be added to the awareness of the staff that ageism is rampant within the community, not just TSHC, and needs to be addressed at some level. So I'm wondering how the IDEA program would fit to address this issue.
Thank you, through the chair to the committee. So I did receive that as well, and I will take that back and ensure that we look at how we will address ageism. I know, Brenda, you also mentioned specifically outlining race and racism.
Well,
and so
yeah,
we
because it
will,
often
we
gets
will,
pushed to the bottom when other, you know,
right.
I've been through
So,
this many iterations, so I just want to
right.
red flag that it often gets lower and lower and lower. And in previous experiences, it often meant just one race that got the jobs and one sex that got the jobs in the equity field, which is, so I want to make sure we don't make those same mistakes and be sensitive to who is it we're representing and who's on our committee and who's our co-chair, and diversity right there, you know, as an example. And so go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, through the chair and to the committee, these are the things that we are working through. And so now with our revised committee, co-chairs and other committee members, these are some of the work that we will parcel and utilize. As I had mentioned earlier, in terms of our employment engagement survey, we did capture demographic information where individuals self-identified on their race and on languages spoken. And through that, we have then requested an assessment of different positions where they are. And so where we have some opportunities to do some work to ensure that we are looking at you know, quite a diverse area in terms of leadership, management, supervisory roles. And so we are working through that process. So once we have identified how we will do it and the actions to take, then we will provide that update to the committee and to the board. And so, Karen, if you can just go to the last slide with the 2025 updates. Yeah, just back one. And I think I'll just go through this and then I'll take any additional questions. So 2025 IDEA accomplishments thus far. So one, we received approval from the board with respect to the strategy in terms of the strategy, the diversity lens, the committee terms of reference. IDEA committee volunteers and co-leads have been selected. And, you know, there's an application of IDEA committee terms of reference. From a training and workshop perspective, we had a DEI training for the IDEA committee. So to set a foundation of understanding, mitigating unconscious bias in the workplace has been open to all staff. So we are going to run that training next week. The HRPA Ignite IDEA conference. So members of the people and culture team will attend that training. From the cultural events, so the center, the CABR strategy, assessing our impact. So this was during our Black History Month programming. The story of Lucy and Blackburn Thornton by Suzette Daly, that was read and we had a subsequent Q&A. IDEA from History to Action from Hamlin Grange. We had Pride events that we supported as well. So Pride Review, as well as a Pride after work initiative. From a cultural event standpoint, so we've had Filipino Heritage Month presentations, Indigenous Heritage Month. We had a presentation from Jim Meeks, who's a member of the board, Truth and Reconciliation Orange Shirt Day, and Islamic Heritage Month. From a diversity lens, we've begun with the policy management framework and recruitment. More focus will be applied in 2026. We've had, as I said, the review of the demographic information from the employee engagement survey. And then IDEA committee support will be focused on the application of the various diversity lens. And then leadership engagement. Right now, and I know you mentioned this, we are engaged where our extended leadership team is now taking the intercultural development inventory assessments. And so once we take our assessments, that's with the leadership team, the extended leadership, then we will have a debrief with a member of the team, and then we will look at next steps for 2026. And then we're also closely affiliated, taking the 360 evaluations for the leadership team. So this, I don't think there's any more slides. So this concludes the presentation. I know that we are definitely past time, but I don't know if there are any additional questions for me.
Carol, thank you so much. Excellent work as always. And also, I want to again welcome both Rebecca, Umber, and Simona. Thank you. Thank you for joining the team. Was there any final questions or comments? And then I guess we're just about to wrap it up. Jess, I think you just put it. Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
I know this is going to be a topic for discussion at a different meeting, but the government, the provincial government, is proposing Bill 60, which may or may not affect TSHC and TCHC staff. The corporations may be exempt if implemented, but there will be a growing need for housing from displaced and evicted tenants from other buildings. So I don't know if the city has taken a view on this yet, or if TSHC is looking at how to expand capacity for people who will be unhoused and evicted. This may be an agenda meeting for some others meeting. But...
Yeah, just
right. Tom?
Yeah, just quickly, through the chair to the committee. So I think this would be one. First of all, I would have to familiarize myself more just with Bill 60, but I think through QTET, through quality tenant engagement, this would be a place where we could bring it up with our board.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. All right. So once again, thanks everyone. We are just slightly over the time, and so the last item is adjournment. I don't think we have any questions on that. So I'm just going to ask for and thanks to everyone for joining this meeting today again.
Thanks, Council.
Are we going to see each other before the end of the year? When's our next meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have
one in.
Yeah, we have a couple of meetings.
Okay. All right. So we're going to see
one in December.
Right.
Yeah, I think we. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So
yeah.
Again, thanks everyone. I need a mover for the adjournment and a seconder moved by Jess and Fareed. Everyone have a great evening. Take care.
Thanks, Councillor. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Grant, do you want to?
Bye.
Grant, do you want to call me regarding United Way presentations?
Sure. And actually, well, I'll loop in Carol actually as